It is time to get out of pocket. I'm your host, Michael Davis, and just wanted to say a very, 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 very big and special thank you to everyone who supported Boom Broadcasting last week, especially Friday's episode of Out of Pocket being the most we've had watching live on our YouTube channel of the Boom Broadcasting since Out of Pocket moved here. And once I saw those numbers after we got off Friday, I was just in a huge amount of gratitude to you guys for supporting us. We're going to have a lot more content coming your way soon. Also have the host of the pending show, Schneider's Cafe, with us. We got Aaron here on the team. Me, Aaron, and the entire rest of the Boom Broadcasting team put our resources together to give college football 25 away. So super, super thankful. We're going to do more giveaways in the future, but for now, we're back on a Monday exclusive to Boom Broadcasting and wanted to introduce you guys to a new face. He loves baseball, and it's my guy, Chris. Chris, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on tonight.
Dude, of course, super excited to have you on. Hopefully you guys are watching us while we're on at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time on this Monday. And if not, our shows are always available on demand, so you can go catch the rest of our stuff last week. We're going to actually drop our 100th video this week for Boom Broadcasting. So super hyped, super stoked about that. But guys, wanted to touch on something we don't talk about often. Wanted to talk on some baseball. Like football's about to pick up. We just had our first weekend of preseason action. Basketball, it's kind of in the in-between of like the Olympics, and then you got, NBA training camps will start, and then we'll have the season start in October. But baseball is in the thick of it right now. And there's a lot of teams contending for the playoffs. But what I wanted to focus on is perhaps one of the worst teams, not only right now, but probably of my lifetime. We got the Chicago White Sox, and they're like 15 games back from like next to last place. Like it is crazy how bad the Chicago White Sox are. And so I wanted to post to you guys, and particularly Chris, since it's your first time on Out of Pocket, I want to ask you, can you wrap your head around why the White Sox are this bad?
Well, there's a lot to it. And to fully understand this, we actually need to go back to 2021. The White Sox had just made the playoffs in the COVID shortened season the year before. They narrowly lost to the Oakland A's. But things were looking up. The next year in 2021, they would win the AL Central. They would have a really dominating pitching rotation featuring Dallas Keuchel, Lucas Giolito, Dylan Cease, Carlos Rodon. But the downfall just picked up really quickly. It was kind of like a snowball. In my opinion, it started when Tony La Russa was hired as their manager in 2021. And while in his prime, he was one of the most advanced and progressive managers out there, knowing he was one of the first guys to get into StatCast and to get into more advanced sabermetrics and stuff. But he was just out of touch going into 2021, and he was dealing with a lot of young players with big personalities. Tim Anderson is one that comes to mind. And he just lost the locker room. Totally unprecedented in that sense. And then in 2022, despite the fact that they retained most of the people from the two playoff runs they had previously, they were 500, and they still had Tim Anderson, Luis Robert, and Dylan Cease finished second Cy Young voting. La Russa would retire at the end of 2022, but the damage is already done. I estimate overall that they will probably break the modern record of 120 by the inaugural 1962 Mets, but we'll see.
I think you're muted, Michael.
Okay, who's muting me? What's going on? Are you kidding me?
Yep.
Did mouthing off with Mike get me back for taking over his YouTube channel? What is Mike doing? Mike, are you here? Okay. Well, just watch it because you know what? Because you did that, mouth off with Mike. You know what happens to people who mute my Mike? Find someone else for the nightcap tonight, and I hope you do fantastic. But I'm not coming on the nightcap tonight. And all right, let's kick his permissions. Hold on. Let me kick his permissions real quick. As I was saying, okay, don't you dare do it again. Where was I going with that? The White Sox lost 101 games last year. They were 500 the year before. They were in the playoffs against the Astros just like back in 2021. Like it has been a huge drop off. Mike's probably mad he's not involved in this baseball convo. He always wants to be, but he's usually working during this time. Aaron, are you shocked at how quickly the White Sox have dipped?
I mean, I've seen this happen with my Kansas City Royals. We make it to back-to-back World Series, 14-15. We're 500 in 2016 and 100-plus loss team every year since until this season, which is great. But, I mean, I'm mainly shocked at how dramatic it's been. To go from winning your division 3 years ago to possibly ending the season with the most losses in the modern era. And they're actually on pace, if they keep their winning percentage as it is right now at 239, which I don't think they will. It'll probably get worse. They'll end the season with the second worst winning percentage of all time, second only to the 1915 Philadelphia Athletics at 235, I believe.
I mean,
sorry about that. I could realistically see Chicago dipping below 235, easily hitting 230, maybe high 220s.
And dude, that has to beg the question: is this Chicago White Sox team? And Shannon even poked fun of them on the Quick Hits episode. I want to say that was last week, may have been 2 weeks ago. But it's available on the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel. That begs a question: like, are the White Sox the worst team we've ever seen in our lifetime? Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'll turn 26 this later this month. And I started watching.
I'm sorry.
I know, like I'm so old, right? I'm almost getting unk status, like our podcast _ Smitty. It won't be long till he's Gramps, or maybe that's my dad. I'll give my dad the Gramps nickname. Just on the channel, nothing to worry about, Dad. Nothing to worry about. He can get the Gramps status. I'm gonna have a lot of questions to answer after we get off here. But dude, this has to beg the question. Like, I don't know how old y'all are, but is this the worst baseball team we've seen in our lifetime, if not ever, Chris?
Yeah, so I think the only one that would come close to this is the 2003 Tigers, but still they featured guys like Bobby Higginson, Dimitri Young, and Carlos Pena. And I just don't think that dysfunction was there either. The White Sox have just been totally drained of life. I mean, I watched them. I watched their series with the A's, and it was just nothing. It was just nothing. There was no life, no passion, no nothing. And that was actually the series they broke the losing streak. The only long-term investment piece that they really have is Luis Robert, but he's not unrestricted. They have control of him until 2028. And then they also ended up in a bad situation because Garrett Crochet ended up killing his own trade value because he was asking for so much in return. But overall, I would say that this White Sox team will probably lose about 125 games is my guess. And I would say that they're definitely the worst of our lifetimes, if not the modern era.
Wow. You're predicting 125. Aaron, what loss total are you predicting for the White Sox right now?
I'll back that 125 number. I think they're hitting like 118 best case. I'm going to say like 122.
122?
But they do nothing well. I mean, they don't hit well. They don't pitch well. Second fewest home runs hit. Second most home runs allowed. Most walks allowed. Second fewest hits as a team. Worst batting average, worst on base percentage in the league as a team. They're just top to bottom in rough shape.
I'm trying to think. I didn't even think about a loss total for the Chicago White Sox. Would it be how many games we got left? About 50. You know what? Let me just go ahead and shoot for 132. Let me go ahead and shoot for that, because that would be them obviously like losing most of the games they have left. Yeah, let me do the 132. We'll put on our social media, see what other people think as well when it comes to that. But I will say it's not all doom and gloom. Like, we don't want to bash the White Sox too much, because like my team, the Texas Rangers, come to mind. The Texas Rangers were just bottom of the AL West for 2 years. Grant, one of those was the 2020 year. 2021, they were like 60 and 102. The next year, they weren't much better. They were only fourth in the division. But last year, they come back and win the World Series. It's easy to rebuild a team when you're trading for prospects. It's easy to rebuild a team when there's 162 games in a year. Like, Chris, how long do you think it is until we actually see the rebuild of the White Sox, if we ever do?
It's going to be a while. Their big issue right now is due to the new CBA rules. They cannot pick before the 10th pick in back-to-back years. I believe it's because they're not opted into the revenue sharing program, but I could be wrong. So the highest that they're going to pick this year, for example, is 10th. So they're probably going to have the worst record all time, and they will not even pick in the top 10. I have not looked much into their farm system, but I can tell you that they have maybe two valuable pieces, the one being Luis Robert. But the big question becomes, do you hang on to Robert and see if you can put some pieces around him, or do you just get rid of him now while he still has a lot of value because he has a lot left on under club control?
Wow. Chris went, it will be a while. Like, Aaron, do you see this getting better for the White Sox anytime soon?
I really don't. They're going to have to gut the front office, and that's going to take a few years to rebuild. I'm thinking best case like 7 years before they have any type of relevance again, and that's pushing it. I'm being generous with 7 years. Realistically, I could see a decade until they make the playoffs.
A decade? Just to make the playoffs?
It's possible.
Wow. Man, that would be tough. And what I think the Chicago White Sox struggle with, and I think it's the same thing the Los Angeles Clippers struggle with. Like, when you think of LA basketball, you think Lakers. When you think Chicago baseball, even if the Cubs had that huge drought where, they weren't doing good, like, you think Cubs. Like, if you ask somebody who's the Chicago baseball team, they will say the Cubs. So even at that point, like, they don't have the luxury the Texas Rangers had with, like, hey, come play in Texas. We're the baseball team down in the great state of Texas, not the Houston Astros. And it helps lure free agents there. I don't think the White Sox have that luxury. And it's all about recruiting when you're in free agency. And if you've been playing the College Football 25 video game, Boom Broadcasting did a giveaway of that on Friday's episode. So stay tuned to more social media for more stuff on that. But what we will like to say is the College Football Playoff is now not 4 teams. It is 12. Now, it would be long. We're going to give you our top 4 teams still. But I wanted to ask you guys, do you agree or disagree with the College Football playoff being expanded to these 12 teams. Do you think that's the right number? Do you think 4 was cutting it? Do you wish there was a soft medium with 8? Like, Aaron, what would you say about it?
No, I like the 12-team format. I think it'll just give us some more interesting matchups, and whether or not that means that we'll see any underdogs, I really don't think we will, but we'll just get to see some more cool football games that we might not get to see otherwise, which will be fun to watch, even if, the same handful of teams end up winning it all, which realistically they're going to regardless of format. Like, if you put Alabama at an 8 seed, a 9 seed, they're still going to make semifinals easily because it's Alabama. Like, matching them up against whatever poor group of 5 team gets their automatic bid is going to be brutal.
Man, yeah. Yeah. That's a fair point. And you never know. Like, I feel like with the 12 teams, you'll never have that. I mean, you'll always have the team that's left out usually, but it won't be leaving out an undefeated Florida State like they did last year. Chris, I was upset when they did that. And I'm not even a Florida State guy.
Me too. That was wrong. I have a very similar opinion that to Aaron, where I think that regardless, it's going to probably be the same 3.5 teams. I'll say half, but the expansion, I think it's great in the sense that you get to see smaller programs get in there. You might be able to see West Virginia get in there. Probably not, but
Probably not.
But man can dream, can he?
Yeah, keep on dreaming. I mean, you might as well just boot up College Football 25 and try to get your West Virginia somewhere close to the playoff.
Hey, I already got two national titles, so
good for you. Good for you. Do you think 12 is the right number though?
I would say 8 would be a better number.
Yeah, I'm in the camp of like 8 would have been fine. But even 10, like if you wanted a couple, like, hey, like play in like the NBA does, like even just allowing those 2 extra teams to like have a chance. But yeah, I don't know who will be like the 12 teams for last year. Like I'm looking at 2023, their college football rankings. And I'm like, would I really want to see like just going based off the AP top 25? Would I really want to see Arizona and LSU in that college football playoff playing against a, Ohio State, Ole Miss, against a Texas, a Michigan? Not entirely. Like Arizona was like okay. But I will miss our Pac-12 after dark. That is a tradition I will miss. Guys, we used to do a segment here called That Aged Well when there was a lot of stuff going on, and we'd be like, hey, who's winning the game tonight? And we're going to do a lot more of those as the NFL season goes, as the basketball season goes. But I wanted to ask you something on this That Aged Well segment. And I wanted to ask you guys, I'm not going to ask for your entire 12. Who is your top 4 teams in this college football playoff, to where it's like, hey, it's probably going to go down to these 4 teams in the semifinals and the finals? What team do you see going there? Chris, you haven't had necessarily an out-of-pocket take yet. Let's see if your debut is well worth it right here.
Well, here's my opportunity. So my top 4 and who I think is the best overall team is not super controversial. It's Georgia. I think they're either going to be a 1-loss team. They might get upset. They'll either be 1 loss or undefeated. My second will probably be a bit out of pocket, and that's Oregon. I say, especially if they can beat Ohio State, I think that they could finish second. I have Alabama at third. I have them probably being a 1-loss team, 1 loss being to Georgia. And then finally, I have Ole Miss, especially if they could find some crazy way to upset Georgia. And I would say it's close between Ole Miss and Ohio State. I think a lot of that just kind of varies on how, strength of schedule and how the rankings, like how the rankings committee favors.
Wow. So he's letting Oregon in. Not terrible, but you're not entirely out of pocket. Aaron, what do you think about those 4 teams? What's your own?
I mean, I like it. We got the same number one. I think it's Georgia. That's the safe pick. I'm not going to go crazy at number one. Number two, I actually have the team that got snubbed this past season. I got Florida State at number two, winning the ACC. I think they get in there. And number three, this actually hurts my soul to give this team any credit. I really think Ohio State's going to get in at three. It hurts. On offense, I think their defense is still great. That might be able to push them, but I can't confidently pick Michigan to win the Big Ten, so I'm going Ohio State. And number four, I think Texas gets back in there.
Okay, showing respect to Texas, I like it. I mean, people keep forgetting Quinn Ewers. What, Chris? Horns down?
Look, I hate Texas. I think they're a pretty solid football team, though.
Dude, I mean, with Quinn Ewers, like, Chris, I'm expecting him to be in the Heisman conversation.
Oh yeah, and I'm 100%. I just have to, we still hate him even though they left the conference. And hey, I saw them. I've seen them in person lose to us. So a very mediocre at the time West Virginia team too.
Wow, what year was that?
2 years ago. Don't quote me. I think either 2 years ago or 3 years ago. That was before Garrett Green was starting. We were a lot more mediocre at that point. That was before a lot of the O linemen aged, better and progressed.
Oh wow, yeah, that's kind of crazy. Now for my four, I mean Georgia, obvious number one answer. Yeah, they may lose late in the year and get like a 2 or a 3, and I'm not going to bat an eye. I'm just going to go ahead and put Georgia at number one. I'm going to go ahead and put Texas at 2. Even though they're, moving conferences, even though they got the SEC schedule now, they play Oklahoma, they play Georgia, they play Florida, and then beyond that, it's like, okay, they do play Michigan early, but I feel like Michigan, like week 2 of this season, like they're still going to figure out post Jim Harbaugh who they are. So give me Georgia, give me Texas, and then I am going to go a team that was robbed last year. Give me a pissed off Florida State team who is sitting at number 3, and they're like, we're not even going to give them an opportunity to leave us out of the top 12 teams. We're going to be in the top 4 like they should have been all along. So give me Florida State at number 3. And yeah, I would love to say that Alabama's going to be good after Nick Saban's over, but I just can't guarantee it. Notre Dame could be a name to watch out for, but I'm going to say Ohio State. As much as Aaron's like, I don't want to give it to him, I think Ohio State. But a team that could slip into this 12-team college football playoff is Colorado. Seeing how much talent they have, like I would not be surprised if they're like a 5 or a 6 seed. What, Chris?
Okay,
what?
I thought you were talking top 4. Maybe they get in like 12 to 10, but I doubt it. I think Utah is gonna make some noise. Honestly,
The Utah Utes.
I think Utah could be really dangerous.
Okay, Chris, back me up on the Colorado.
He said they could get in as a 5 seed. I have them maybe winning 5 games.
I like that.
No, are you for real right now?
Looking at their schedule, it's challenging. Kansas is tough. Oklahoma State's going to be tough. Utah is going to be tough. Cincinnati they'll beat. Arizona's going to be tough. Texas Tech, I think they'll beat. Baylor they'll beat. Kansas State, UCF they'll beat. And then even Nebraska I think might put up a fight. But I just think that joining the Big 12, it's going to be a transition year at least. And I think that they might improve once they settle in more. But some of these teams here, I mean, especially because they have a massive target on their back. Every single team that's been here, or every team that has been established here, rather, wants to go after them. So,
wow. I mean, we're looking at the schedule right now. If you're watching us on the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel, you're saying you only see 5 games out of this schedule, Chris?
I mean, it's going to be hard. North Dakota State, I give them that one. Nebraska, I'll give them that one. Colorado State, I'll give them that one. So first 3. Baylor, tough. UCF, I think they'll get. Kansas State.
That's a dub. That's a dub.
Yeah.
Come on.
Arizona, I think will beat them. I think they will beat Cincinnati, but I see them losing definitely to Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State. I see them losing out.
Aaron, please tell me you see more than 5 wins on this.
Oh,
ballpark.
I'm on my phone, so I gotta pull up their schedule on my computer. Give me a little bit. I think North Dakota State could be dangerous. They're the Bama of the FCS, honestly. So that's a trap game in week 1. I could easily see Colorado going in overconfident and losing by 10 points to North Dakota State. I feel like there's too much talent on that team to miss a bowl game. I think they'll get like 6 or 7, but college football playoffs pushing it, best case scenario, maybe they get in at like 11 or 12, but I don't think we're seeing a crazy season out of Colorado. Because people had crazy expectations going into this past season, and like after that TCU win, and look at what happened. Just embarrassment.
I mean, to be fair, what Colorado had to deal with last year was the hype. And that didn't necessarily go their way, but they have a lot of talent. Like, they have a ton of talent. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if Colorado is looking at this college football playoff. Chris, it took you about 25 minutes to be out of pocket, but it's okay. Your buddy Aaron was too. I mean,
Look,
I
don't think he was, honestly.
Very much ballpark. I'm not seeing exactly 5, but ballpark 5 or 6 wins is roughly my estimate.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll see if that aged well. I mean, I was thinking, maybe your college football playoff teams wouldn't age well, but now it's like, okay, your Colorado win total won't age well at all. But dude, it's been awesome having you join Out of Pocket for the first time. Aaron, is always great chatting it up with you. Guys, want to remind you that the nightcap will be tonight. Mouthing off with Mike, you already messed it up, man. You trying to do things behind the scenes. You muting my microphone. I don't know. I mean, I know how I took over your YouTube channel at the tail end of June. I don't know how you just did that to mine. So catch the night. Dude, I'm trying to promote your show. Stop it. I'm trying to promote your show. You got to find a new guest now.
I think it's hilarious.
Dude, what in the world? Like, I'm trying to promote you. Let me promote you. You can watch Mouth Off with the Mic on the nightcap, and you can enjoy that. I was on last week's, will not be on tonight. You got to find yourself a new guest. But Out of Pocket will be back tomorrow on a Tuesday. And I am actually going to drop my guest here right now. My guest tomorrow afternoon, 5:30, right after you get off work, will be my former co-host of The Cat Cave, will be the host of Tap Outs and Touchdowns, Ryan Frick, and our counterpart, the host of Quick Hits, Podcast_Smith, Shane Smith. We're getting the band back together, and maybe this is a new band. Maybe we got a new band brewing. This probably won't be the last time you see Chris on Boom Broadcasting, so stay tuned for his face. If you're catching us from his crowd, whether you're a friend, family member, just supporting him, hit that sub button, and we'll gotta get out of here, guys. And we will see you back here on Out of Pocket tomorrow evening at 5:30 p.m.